Hey guys, it's Mrs. Arache here. I'm here to do a craft with you guys today for Makerspace. I've been doing crafts out of this book that we just purchased for the media center. It's probably backwards for you, but it's called The Craft a Day book by Carrie Cornell. And today I wanted to do a craft called hand printed wrapping paper. I've done a couple examples here. I have, you can kind of see them, I'll hold them up. So I've been printing circles because I really like the way they look. But you can do anything. The basic idea, this is what my daughter did. She's very proud of herself. And the basic idea is to find shapes, stamps, anything you like, and put paint on them. I've actually really liked this one, just anything that has a nice shape to it. I could probably even use this funky coaster if I wanted to. And then put the paint on the edge and then just stamp it on there. Now, when I'm doing this, I usually plan it out a little bit. For example, this is going to be the color palette of my next one. I've got these colors. And these are just old paints that I had from forever ago. They're gouache, which is somewhere between acrylics and watercolors. And I thought it would be more fun than printing on paper. It would actually be fun to print on canvas, which I happen to have lying around the house. So what we're going to do, I have my water cup here. I have a whole bunch of just old craft paint brushes, nothing fancy. And out of all the things I printed, I like this one the best. I thought this one would put the paint on the easiest. And the other thing you want to do before you start this project, especially if you want to do something a little more permanent than just paper. Paper you can kind of, I thought the paper was a good idea to kind of test out and see what sort of things I liked. And before I moved on to the canvas, which looks, looks more like an actual art piece. I don't know about you guys, but I've been, being in the house so frequently, I've been looking at our walls and thinking, we could really use some more art around here. So let's try to bring little HGTV to our quarantine. So with my canvas, I picked my colors, and then I want to think about how I want to lay this out. I've done a couple different things. I've done different shapes. I've done the interlocking, and I really like the interlocking. So what I think I'm going to do this time is I kind of want to take this one, and then I'm going to add some more in another color to kind of highlight it and make some more of those interesting concentric circles. When I do this, whatever your thing is, before you even start putting paint on it, you kind of want to plan it out a little bit. So I kind of see where I should place just by using whatever my stamp is and kind of just planning it out, seeing how it fits on the space. So I'm going to actually start putting the paint on dead center, then doing either side. I might have to move this around, and then doing the top, the bottom, and then I think I'm going to add 4 more in either ones. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the darkest. I'm going to do light on this side, the other light on this side. Now I'm debating, and I think I want to do the dark green, which is, by the way, this color right here in the center. And I'm going to do the 4 in this dark ultramarine kind of blue on the edges. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to switch that because I think this is somewhere between a green and a blue, and I think I kind of like the idea of that kind of tying the whole thing together a little bit. My color story. So I'm going to take all this stuff off. I kind of know what I want to do. And I'm going to take a new brush when I haven't used yet. That one. Here we go. Okay. And it's pretty simple. So you just open up your paint. Now again, I suggest using, you can use really any paint that you have, like even craft paint or whatever. This is just what I have. All my craft paint I actually brought to school. And there it remains. But and you just paint it on the edge. But I think this would work. This works very well with the gouache. You can print on canvas with this. That would not work with watercolors, but if you're just using paper, watercolors would definitely work. You can use acrylics. You could use oils if you have them, but Oils are pretty expensive. I'd probably use something cheap for this project. So since it's not fun and it's pretty quick, but it's not, you know, oils are very fancy and expensive, and you know, save that for your art classes. So here we go, and now I'm going to try to do this pretty quickly, but you actually really want to load this up because I find all the interest of this project comes from the printing and the irregularities that you're going to find with each stamp. I think the more funky and odd you can make your circles, the more interesting your actual piece is going to be. So I'm just going to rest this on the coaster right here. Now I'm going to stand for this part. And let's see, make sure you can see this. Okay, now I'm going to really carefully line this up in the center as best I can. If it's not perfect again, that's okay. And you're going to push from the top of your stamp, not from the sides, from the top. And lift up, and you can see I got a nice ring here. Now I'm going to actually, I like to twist it a little bit so that you get slightly different stamp. It's going to look different regardless, but it'll look even more different if you twist it a little bit. And go for your next stamp. I would do everything in one color if possible in one go, just because then it'll save you some time. You want it to clean every 5 seconds, and that gets a little, that bogs you down, so you don't want to do that. Okay, there's stamp number 2. And here we go, stamp number 3. Twisted, push from the top, and there we go, there's 3. Now, I could leave it like this, but it's really light. And I want it to look a little bit darker. So you can see in these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink them up, and I'm going to kind of go over these a couple more times. So here we go. And then I'm going to change the order in which I stamp them. So I'm not going to start with the center one. Unless you really want to emphasize one, I would suggest maybe starting with the last one and then go backwards. And just keep doing this until you like it. And you'll find this putting paint on the edge of your stamp or on your stamp gets faster each time because there's always a little bit of paint left over. So each additional coat takes less time than the first coat. So here we go. And by the way, if you don't have a Mother's Day gift for your mom yet, and your mom is like me with my kids, and she thinks every single thing you do is absolutely fabulous, this might be a fantastic Mother's Day present that you could knock out in an evening. Here's the next stamp. Yeah, that's nice and dark. I like that. There we go. 2. And number 3. And I'm actually going to intentionally get this a little bit off. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to start with this one because that one doesn't look a little off. I'm not even going to re-ink this. I'm just going to kind of, yeah, just like that. 2, 3. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let me give this one more. Okay, so now we got to clean this off. If you plan on using the same stamp, which I am, but you can choose not to, you can do this. And there's a lot of freedom in this project. So if you have actual stamps, you can definitely use those. But I like the idea. I always like shapes and geometry. And so I really love anything that plays with that. So that's why I'm just actually using simple cups. And I tried a ton of different cups. I tried, like, this is a seltzer can. I tried using this on the top, and I really liked the way that came out. My daughter did that on this. We used the lip of this and got a nice thick line, which is cool, but I don't know. I like how easy this one is to ink, which is why I'm using this one. And then what you want to do is I would actually suggest switching your brush between colors because, especially if you're using something that thins out in water like gouache, watercolor, or acrylics, it's going to mean that you're not going to be able to put on that nice thick coat that you really need. So I'm actually just going to put that in there, grab myself a brand new brush. So I'm going to use this guy. and go to your next color. And I think I'm going to do the blue lake next. Ink that up. And what you really should do, which I definitely did not do, is put some paper towels down. I highly recommend putting some paper towels down because I'm sure your parents won't love it if you get paint all over their stuff. But, you know, if you're very careful, it might be all right. That's part of the reason I'm also using the gouache, because it really does clean up pretty well with water. So just have to be extra careful using the dark colors. Here we go. Nice and thick coat. That's pretty good. Okay. And again, I like to start with, go this side, and I line it up from above. I always suggest whenever you're doing stamping especially, to do it from standing. Don't try to do it from sitting, because there is a very good chance you will not line it up the way you'd like. And since I'm using canvas, it's got a thick ridge around there, so I'm actually having to rock this a little bit to make sure that it touches all the sides. There we go. And the last side. If you're just using this on paper, then you wouldn't have this problem. But again, I would like to put this up on the wall and not have to worry about framing it. You just kind of hang it up right there. So I'm going to persevere through that slight annoyance. I'm going to add some more paint, and I'm going to hit it again. So I'm going to try to post these videos. I'm trying to do at least one recorded video like this a week, but I will try to find some other awesome stuff too. For my crochet kids, I'm going to post some links to awesome crochet videos and like how-tos, links for pattern resources, and maybe we can even do some sort of knit along or project along with this or anything else. I'd love to see what you guys have been doing during your downtime. So here I'm doing my second stamp. 1, twist, 2, making it a little bit out of alignment. Yes, like adding that extra visual interest. 3, and I don't even think I need necessarily any more ink, paint on this one. Just hit it one more time. Make sure I push it all the way around, nice and firm from the top. 1, 2, and 3. All right, looks pretty good. Okay, clean it off again. And whenever you're doing any sort of art project with paint, make sure you always have water and paper towels around, preferably a whole roll. And it's not a bad idea to actually use, so if I'm actually painting, I actually like putting my paint on like a wet palette or on some wax paper or something like that. I always have that lying in the house, around the house, and I don't have a ton of uses for that stuff, so it's actually pretty useful for art, actually. Okay, nice and clean again. I'll clean enough for my purposes. And starting with the light green this time. This paintbrush has been used. I'm not using that color anymore. Into the water bin with you. Next one. Let's see. Let's use, one of those old school junky ones from Little Kid Art Project. It's perfect for this. Here we go. Ink that right up. See, this is actually almost even better than the nicer craft brushes because it kind of globs it on there, which is actually really kind of what you want for this project. Again, the irregularities adds visual interest. Makes it that kind of abstract sort of look that is all over HGTV. And doing this sort of stuff is an easy way to brighten up your living space, not spend much money. Like, I want to say this canvas, I think it came in from like a pack of something like 12 for, $2 maybe. It was super inexpensive. So even if I decide, I would like to hang something else on the wall, it's not like I'm out a ton of money. So let's see. Okay, ready? Last of my initial rows. So I'm going to do the 4 on top afterwards. 1. Nice. 2. Okay, roll it around a little bit because I'm on the corner now. Nice. 3. Line up careful. The hardest part is the placement, but that's why I said, especially if you're going to move on to something that's a little bit more substantial, that you really are thinking you're going to hang, it's not a bad idea to do some test ones just to see what you like on either scraps of paper or anything else. And by the way, this is not just limited to canvas and this. Like, I've seen people do this with like fabric. With if you're into sewing, you can hand dye or hand paint fabric, which I always thought was super cool and makes really unique and interesting projects. So if you have access to fabric paint, I know I picked up mine at Michael's a while ago, and it's fun to play with. That might be a good choice for you too, if that's something that you're interested in. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to do this one first. I'll center it a little bit for my first one, just to add that interest. 1. Off centering it. 2. Rolling it around. Got it. Not so great. Let's see if I can fix that. There we go. And twist and 3. Not bad. And I did a third ghosty one on the last one, on the other 2 rows. So I'm going to do that on this one too with almost no ink on it. So I'm going to put this one here. First one. That didn't even come out. That's good enough. 2, 3. And that's the goal of these things. So I tend to have the bad habit of trying to be a perfectionist. And I say bad habit because the whole goal of this is to be imperfect. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good, because it's better for you to have done something and have it be good than, get stuck on being perfect. Because let's not lie, perfection is extraordinarily difficult, if impossible, to achieve. So I think so. Okay, again, nice and clean. And here we go. Oh, got to cap that. Got to put this in here. And I need my last brush. And I'm going to use one of those, or more of those. I got another one of those little ones from my little kids. Put this on. And load it up. I love this color. So it's dark, that teal green. It's called emeralds, but I think it's kind of a little more of like a dark teal. I really like this color. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of blues and greens. I tend to gravitate towards those personally. And done. See how dark that is now compared to the white it was a second ago. And now I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and attempt to kind of put all this into, just like that. So again, I'm going to kind of plan it out, kind of think about how they're going to overlap and go for it. So I'm going to start on this corner right here. Push on all sides. Nice. 1, twist, push, 2. Nice. Twist. Push. 3. Oh, I'm so excited with this. It looks so good. 4. That's not bad. I'm pretty happy with this. So I'm going to ink this up. I'm going to go in reverse order. 1, 2, 3, 4. Might have to ink it up a third time because I'm adding an additional circle, and every time you add an additional circle you might have to ink it up an additional time. I'm really happy with how this is coming out, and it's really kind of, it's funky. It's the lines are fun to follow with your eyes. It's visually interesting. And again, you want it to be imperfect. You don't want it to look super clean. You want it to look kind of little messy, little grungy. Okay. So I'm going to be trying to do this as frequently as I can until the end of the year. So if you have any project selections, I might be doing a few more from that book. And I will try to make sure that I'm not using a lot of crazy art supplies. I'll try to make sure that I stick to things that you should have in your house anyway. You know, using, cans, toilet paper rolls, why not? So it looks pretty good. I'm going to add one more ghost. I'm actually just going to ink it up a little bit with whatever's left on the brush. That's it. I'm not going to even grab more paint from the tube. That's pretty good. Okay. Now let's see. I'm going to start on the ones that I did second. So I'm going to go 1. Do this one quickly. 2. 3. And 4. Alright, that's it. I think I'm done. So this is what I made. And as you can see, didn't take all that long. And I said I think it's a really cool piece to hang up on the wall. Even though I didn't use any purples, the ultramarine kind of reads purple. And I'm really happy with the layout of this. It's just, it's fun. If you'd like, you can sign it. I don't know. But I might just hang it. But yeah, pretty cool project. Doesn't take all that long. And I said all you need is paint. You don't even need to use anything fancy. If you have stencil paints, those little craft vials, which I wish I could show you one right now. But again, mine are all sterling, sadly. So hope you enjoyed the video. Try some crafting time during your downtime. I always find it really relaxes me, and I always love making things with my hands. It's like my favorite thing to do. I'm always doing something like that. So yeah, please stay tuned for more videos, and if you have a suggestion or anything you'd like me to cover, let me know, and I will try to make a video about it. Okay. Have a great day, and go Knights!